Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to depressurize the cooling system. I would recommend doing this when the vehicle is cold, doing this job. Okay, so depressurize the system to make sure that you don't harm yourself with the pressurized system. You run the risk of shooting in your face, or if the vehicle is warm or an operating temperature. Just wait till the vehicle cools down, or do it at a cold morning or a cold start, and you should be fine. Okay, so this will normally have two 10mm bolts here, but they're not on there. But remove this air duct here, just like that, to give you room to work where we're going to need to work in. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this reservoir here. It's normally 2mm bolts. Go ahead and loosen this clamp here. This is a quarter, or whatever your size may be, but in my case it's a quarter, and I'm going to use it to take this along with the reservoir. Okay. Okay, so we are going to have to take this control module out, and I'm going to do that right now before I start disconnecting any hoses, because I don't want any coolant getting on this module. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the negative battery terminal, and after that I'm going to go ahead and work on getting this module out of here, along with removing this harness out of the way, because we need as much room here because the water pump is located right there, and it stretches a good amount of distance from one side to the other. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, just on visual inspection, I'm able to see that the module is being held on by this 10mm right here, as well as that one down there, and it has one in the very bottom around this location here. Okay, so first I'm going to loosen up, which I already did, this wiring harness attach metal piece here that attaches the wire harness. There's one there, and I believe there's another one over here that I already removed, and now I'm going to make my way on these plugs. Guys, so basically the way to take out these plugs, I already took one out here. I just won't be able to show you at the same time because I'm holding the camera with one hand, but you're going to press this clip here, and then this should slide forward like that, and then the connector should come out. You see? Do that to the other one, and then all three should come out. Okay, I have all the connectors disconnected. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that plastic clip out of this bracket here, so that this harness can move the other way, because this harness is gonna go under the motor down here, so it's not gonna let me separate them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it out of there, this clip here, and go ahead and remove it. Okay, go ahead and remove it. Now this is nice and by itself. Now go ahead and remove this ground connector here. It's a 10mm, so now that this can go ahead and shift upwards, and you can go ahead and tie it with something so that it won't be in the way. Guys, I went and go ahead and tied these connectors up here, and I see I have some other ones down here, but these, you know, gives me enough slack so that I can work there. Just make sure they don't get wet. You can even cover them with like a bag or something, but I'm gonna put them on the side here. And now we should be able to remove this module. 10mm there, another one down there, and then another one down here, and we should remove this before getting to any of the coolant hoses. Well, actually they're nuts, not bolts. They actually have these on them. The only one that's actually a bolt is the one in here in the middle that I removed already. Just, you know, you can feel it as long as you just place your hand there. You're able to feel the bolt and take it out. So I already loosened this up. Let me just take it out like that, and go ahead and put it in a safe place where it won't get dropped. Okay guys, you see removing that module, you're already able to see the water pump bolts there. Okay, so let's continue. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all the hoses here, because we are going to have to take this out. because that water pump does seal right here as well with a rubber O-ring, and to take that out you have to remove this whole piece. So go ahead and take this hoses out. Okay guys, make sure you have something that's going to recover the coolant just so they won't spill on the floor, unless you have a drain nearby. But if you don't, just make sure you collect that coolant and don't just let it spill on the floor and that. So I'm gonna take this hose out. Okay, I'm gonna try not to get as much coolant in the floor as possible, but I'll put this out here. Okay, I'm gonna remove this upper radiator hose. If you find that it gets real stuck or stubborn to remove, you can just use one of these tools. It doesn't have to be Snap-on, it could be any brand. You can go to Harbor Freight and get one, and this just helps loosen up that hose by getting rid of all that there. Just go all the way around it. Okay, you have to go all the way around, or if it loosens up already you can go ahead and remove it, but I see that let's see, there we go. Go ahead and take that out and remove the upper radiator hose. Okay, now that the hoses are removed, I'm going to need to remove these two as well. So I'm going to use some pliers, whatever ones you feel more comfortable removing this, and just push these, push them back, the pressure clamps. Okay, now these can also be stubborn in coming out, so you can either use some flat pliers that have a curve and just try to remove it like I am, like that, you know, or you can even use a pick tool, but just make sure you don't damage the hose. But I feel like this works really good, just getting some pliers and just pushing them back. So go ahead and remove those. Okay, now that those hoses are removed right here, now I believe we're ready to take this out. I believe you have one, you have another one there, 2, 3, and then 4 here in the bottom, and I believe that's all you have that's holding this piece. The rest is just the rubber O-ring here and here, but that's why you have these bolts, and I believe you can just, you know, push it out. But let me go ahead and remove those. Now that you have removed all the bolts or nuts for this piece here, you're just gonna have to wiggle it one end and another end evenly so that it can loosen up the O-ring here and it can come out. Okay, as well as this one right here. So just not too hard, just, you know, with your own judgment, just move it and wiggle it until it should come out. Okay guys, we have this piece out. That's the O-ring I was talking about. That needs to be basically you know, just wiggled out and released there. Okay, so go ahead and put this in a safe place so it won't crack. Next thing we're going to do is going to remove this idler pulley, 14mm. Just remove it. I already loosened it. Remove that, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to also remove the tensioner pulley, because we have some bolts that are in the way and this pulley's in the way. So let's do this one first. Okay guys, one thing to mention about this is that this is reverse thread. So you gotta loosen it the opposite way, since the tensioner has to provide tension to the left side. The thread is gonna be right hand thread, so make sure you don't confuse it and strip the bolt trying to loosen it the left way. Okay, now you can see we have all the bolts almost ready for the pump. I'm going to remove these 4 next. Okay guys, to loosen this piece here that runs the serpentine belt and drives the pump, you're going to remove these. They're 12mm, but if you try to remove them, obviously the pump tries to go this way. So the correct tool to use is this. You basically grab the bolt while you are loosening or tightening, depending on what direction the bolt. Or what you can do, you don't have to have this tool if you're a DIY or anything like that. You can just use a, you know, a very thin flat head. You can just run it through here, you know, just hold it and then loosen this here, and then go to the next one, and then go to the next one, and go to the next one. Okay, so you don't have to buy this tool. It's necessary for this, but you can just like I said, run a flathead through here and just provide tension so that it can give you that torque to loosen the bolts. Okay guys, now that they're loosened, I can go ahead and just loosen them with a 1/4 inch ratchet. Okay, pulley's out. Every bolt is bare. Nothing is in the way. So go ahead and take the water pump bolts out. Okay guys, the water pump has been removed. You must remove the remaining gasket here until all this is 100% smooth. Okay, you do not want to install the water pump with any restriction or any unevenness in this surface, because then it's going to leak, and if it doesn't right away, it's going to definitely leak prematurely over time. Okay, so you got to remove all this gasket until it's very, very smooth. I'm going to show you the end result. Okay guys, so I went and go ahead and clean my bolts so they can be nice and clean before I install this new water pump. Okay, this water pump is an ASIN WPT-137, which is the OEM equivalent. Okay, so make sure everything is clean. Okay guys, so I was able to get all this surface cleaned up. Okay, nice and smooth. What I recommend doing is using a pick tool or a razor to take the most of the gasket that was here, and then using a air powered, or if you just have the tip, you can use a drill or whatever, but this brush here is what I feel works best for aluminum. Okay, because if you do the wire brush, sometimes I feel that it takes away the aluminum. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like to use the plastic brush to remove the excess imperfections, so you can have it nice and smooth. Guys, one thing I wanted to mention is in the service information for the repair of this water pump, it says be sure to replace 2 bolts C, which are these two, with new ones, or reuse them after applying adhesive 1344. Now adhesive 1344 is basically Toyota's version of a thread sealant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Loctite 271 because they're chemically identical, meaning that they're very, very similar products. So I'm going to use that on the C bolts. Okay guys, and like I said, any other bolts that you saw, like the 10 millimeters that came out corroded, I would recommend you replace them with the same bolt, same length and everything. Okay, but you'll be the judge of that depending on how yours come out. But make sure that there's no oil on threads of the A bolts. So just clean up all your bolts, very, very clean. Okay guys, the way I'm going to install this pump is I'm going to put 2 bolts on each side to help me line up the gasket on the bolt holes. So when I'm putting it, that's how I'm going to use it. I'm going to make these 2 bolts line up, and then I'm going to install the rest of the bolts. As you can see, I have got the water pump aligned. You see, so now I can install every individual bolt. Okay, make sure that according to the information, the both C bolts are going to need some sort of adhesive, thread adhesive. I'm going to use a Loctite 271, and yeah, I'm going to show you how to put the rest together. Okay guys, the pump has been installed. We're going to install in reverse order now. We're going to go ahead and get the pulley on. You know guys, I could have removed this hose if I wanted to, but I just left it on because, like I said, it's not really interfering with anything I'm doing. But if you need to take this hose out so you can see better, then go ahead and take it out. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this pulley on. A good way to do it is to go ahead and put the bolt on and just put, it's something that you have to basically feel. I like to align this hole with this one just so I can know where I'm going to go, kind of like a guide. Once you find the hole, let's see, it's a little stubborn. Let's see if I can look at it through here. There we go. There we go. Once you have that first one in, the rest will be a piece of cake. Okay, we're ready to install the tensioner pulley. Now, remember it's your reverse thread, so it's going to tighten going left rather than right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this, and then after that we're going to go ahead and put our idler pulley. Okay. This is the idler pulley, and this just tightens normally with it's not left hand thread. Go. So make sure that the belt is sitting in every pulley and every spline of the pulley according to the diagram. Okay, so I removed the thermostat just because I'm going to replace it. So if you have a thermostat, this would be a great time to replace it because this is out. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it. That's why I took this off. But what I wanted to say was that this fitting that's going to go into this O-ring right here, get a small piece of fiber right here and just you know, just take some of that imperfections out so that this O-ring can enter smoothly and able to seal properly. Just take a piece of fiber like this and just go all the way around, and you can see this mating surface. You see that corrosion in there? You want to take it out, or at least smoothen it out. If you can't actually change the color, just smooth it out until smooth surface. Okay guys, we were provided with the O-ring in our kit for the pipe and also for the fitting here. So this is the one for the pipe. I'm going to go ahead and remove it. Just take a pick tool and just remove the gasket like this. Oh, it actually fell, but oh, it's actually right here. Okay, and you're going to replace it with this new one right here. Okay guys, go ahead and sit this this gasket here. It has some holes there so that it can stay in place. Okay, there we go. It's going to stay in place, and now we can sit the other piece in place. Okay, we have our O-ring right here, the new one installed. So we're going to put the bypass piece here, ready to install back. Okay, so I'm going to use some assembly lube and just put it around the O-ring, not too much, just so that when you push this assembly here, it can go in smoothly and you don't run the risk of damaging the O-ring because it's too dry. The good thing about this is that it has a stud here, so it's going to basically help you in aligning this in place. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just push it in there, move these hoses out the way. Look at that, you see? It's nice and smooth. There we go. As you can see, this aligned, everything is aligned, flush. Go ahead and put the bolts. Don't forget the nut that goes on the stud. Okay guys, go ahead and set the module back in its place. Good thing it has guides, that way can help you hold it in place. And go ahead and get the nuts. Both sides. Then I can connect this one. Okay guys, we're almost there. Now make sure you put both grounds that we took out. Okay, 10mm. Those grounds right there. Make sure you put them on. Guys, go ahead and put all your hoses. Replace the clamps if you need to. Forget these hoses back here. Okay, I'm going to reuse the pressure clamp because the pressure clamp is still good. I can see. See the Okay guys, and that's basically it. Okay, before I install this air duct here, I'm going to fill this up with coolant and show you how to bleed it. Well, there's not really no bleeding procedure for this besides burping it, since the fill port is above the heads, or you know, above level surface than the rest of the motor. This just needs to be burped, and I'm going to show you how. You're going to have to use red coolant for this, because this is what this vehicle requires, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay guys, what I'm going to use a coolant funnel. Okay, just pour the coolant in slowly until the system becomes full. Go ahead and fill the system up until this levels out. Make sure to put the battery back on. Guys, so this system, like I said before, it's not bled because there's actually no bleed screw, no bleed port or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to burp the system. You're going to crank the vehicle, let it run. Okay, you're going to start seeing bubbles escaping through this funnel here. Once the bubbles stop, then you can take the funnel out and you can cover it all up and make sure you fill up the reservoir to its proper level, and yeah, you should be good. So let's go ahead and crank the vehicle. Okay guys, so the vehicle is running now. As you can see, the bubbles that are rising above from the funnel, just let it run until you see the bubbles have stopped. Once that happens, then you can remove the funnel and go ahead and put your radiator cap on, or the cap to this on, and you should be good. Okay.